everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And thank you so much for joining the Critical Issues Forum 3rd Speakers Series. My name is Masako Toki, a Senior Education Project Manager at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, CNS, at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Montreal, California. Before we start the event, I would like to bring your attention to the Zoom interpretation functionality. This event is being interpreted into Japanese, Russian, Chinese, and French by the Middlebury Institute Conference Interpretation students. The Middlebury Institute is also well known for its excellent program in interpretation and translation. So, for those who wish to listen to other than original language, please enjoy interpretations. And please use the interpretation button, which looks like a globe, to select the language you would like to listen to. And if you do not select a language channel, or just select interpretation off, you will be listening to the original audio from the floor. One of the presentations will be delivered in Japanese. So if you would like to listen to it in one of the interpreted languages, select the appropriate language channel. So all the other part of the event will be in English. So now let me share my screen to briefly explain the Critical Issues Forum and today's event. So just bear with me a little bit. Okay, so today's event is very special. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to discuss nuclear disarmament from the humanitarian perspectives, connecting the past, present, and the future. This event featured 3 distinguished speakers from Japan. We are so honored to have an atomic bombing survivor, Hibakusha, Ms. Masako Wada, who will share her testimony of the atomic bombing and her work and efforts toward a world free of nuclear weapons. We are also very excited to welcome Professor Hidenori Watanabe and Ms. Anju Niwata, co-authors of one of the best-selling books based on their project, Rebooting Memories, using over 350 colorized pre-war and wartime photos. The Speakers Series is part of the Critical Issues Forum project that promotes disarmament and non-proliferation education for high school students around the world while encouraging them to develop critical thinking skills. Today, we have high school students, educators, and friends from around the world, including the United States, Japan, and Russia. We have many new friends who joined today's event. And some of you may not be so familiar with the Critical Issues Forum. So I would like to briefly introduce the Critical Issues Forum, CIF, to you. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to the funders and supporters of the CIF project, the Tom and Sarah Patterson Fund and the Saga Foundation. Thank you so much for your continuing support for this important youth education project. Critical Issues Forum is one of the flagship education projects at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, CNS. CNS launched the CIF project in 1997, aiming to develop these young generations' critical thinking skills through non-proliferation and disarmament education for a safer and more peaceful future. CIF also promotes cross-cultural understanding and communication among participants. In normal years, the CIF project conducts an in-person student conference in Montreal, California, where our school is located. In the past, we also had a conference in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan and Vienna, Austria. These are some photos from recent CIF conference. And the students representatives from each CIF high school present their semester-long studies at the spring conference. We have invited amazing guest speakers for the student conference who are passionate about youth engagement, such as Dr. William Perry, former US Secretary of Defense, and Dr. Lassina Zerbo, Executive Secretary of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization. Also, for the 2018 conference, the year Angie participated in the CIF conference in Montreal, we invited Ms. Susan Southard, an author of the award-winning book, Nagasaki, Life After Nuclear War. Each year, we select a timely topic related to nuclear disarmament. This year's topic is Toward a World Free of Nuclear Weapons, the role of youth as change agent in an age of global crisis. The current global pandemic has taught us the importance of international cooperation in order to reduce nuclear threats. We believe that young people, such as high school students, have an important role to play for that goal. Despite the global pandemic situation that requires us to conduct all the project activities virtually, we have not let it impede our efforts in promoting disarmament and non-proliferation education. Since the beginning of the COVID quarantine, with an aim to reach out to a wider audience to promote disarmament education, we started this speakers series. We have invited young nuclear disarmament experts to discuss nuclear issues from various perspectives. At the first event, we invited Ms. Lovely Umayam, who is a nuclear expert, artist, and writer. Lovely is utilizing arts, culture, and history to promote nuclear non-proliferation, arms control, and disarmament for the next generation. And the second event, CIF collaborated with the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs. The event featured the Youth Champions for Disarmament, an initiative undertaken by the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs. And of course, today, we are so excited about learning from Ms. Masako Wada, atomic bombing survivor, and Professor Watanabe and Ms. Anju Niwata on their project, Rebooting Memories, to further promote disarmament education to young generation. So if you are high school teachers or students and interested in learning more about the Critical Issues Forum or interested in joining the program, please reach out to me. And you can find information about the Critical Issues Forum on our website. And please follow us on the social media. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to stop sharing. And let me introduce Mr. Jean Dupree, my colleague, Mr. Jean Dupree, who is going to give you the welcome remarks. And Mr. Jean Dupree is a senior program manager for education and training at CNS. And he has an extensive experience in diplomacy, arms control, and international peace and security. And of course, education and training in this field. So John, I'm going to give you the microphone, so take it away.
Thank you, Masako, and good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor for me to be part of this speaker series again, and I'd like to congratulate Masako for putting this together. And I would, at the outset, also like to welcome and thank Ms. Masako Wada. I was very pleased to see her again and recall her very pointed remarks at a course that we hosted last year for Latin American diplomats, where she was so kind to sign in from Japan and talk to about 60 diplomats. And I'm very, very pleased that this speaker series today will focus also on rebooting memories of pre-war through the colorized photographs, and particular given Anju Niwata's involvement as a former Critical Issues Forum student, and also under the guidance of Professor Watanabe. Thank you so much. There is a English saying to say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, based on the number of pictures in this new book of theirs, I believe there are something like 355 pictures. This book speaks to 700 pages of words, just roughly counted. That is a significant volume, and I think the images of this that's in this book, which I hope to acquire myself, would remind us of what happened in 1945 in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I can assure you, if you have not listened to Ms. Wada, she will very, very clearly remind us of those days. We move on in history. It is more than 75 years ago that these terrible events happened. A former American president, Herbert Hoover, once said that old men declare war, but it's the youth that must fight and die. Now, more than 200,000 people died in those attacks. And of course, we cannot isolate the use of the nuclear weapons in 1945 from more than 2,000 nuclear weapons that have been tested since then. And that all that created a poisonous atmosphere that created conditions where thousands and thousands more people died from cancers and other diseases. On top of that, we live in a world of fear. Fear that nuclear weapons can either be used on purpose, in anger, or by accident. There are more than 13,000 nuclear weapons still today. And while the numbers have been drastically reduced, generations and generations to come will live under the fear of nuclear weapons. And it seems to me that we are not learning from the history. Another head of state, this time Winston Churchill, said that those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And I think this event and events like this and this book and the testimony of Ms. Wada and other Hibakusha are moments in time where we can learn from history. You as the youth, and you are truly the next generation. And we are the old men and old people that have messed things up. You are the ones who need to take charge of your destiny and the destiny of the world. And I look forward to this evening's program and to also to see more of you take the example of Anju Niwata to take not only what she has learned through her school years, but also at university and through the Critical Issues Forum, and put it to work. To conclude, I'd like to say that a quote from another famous person, George Bernard Shaw. He said, "We learn from history that we learn nothing from history." Let us not, when you as the high school students, when you are my age and the age of two of my great good friends who are online, Jim and Sarah Patterson, who through their commitment supported this program, let you not, by the time you read our age, look back and think about what George Bernard Shaw said. Let's do learn from history. Let's do make a change. And you as the youth are the change agents, and the world is in your hands to make a difference. So congratulations, and I look forward to a wonderful evening. Thank you, Masa.
Great, thank you so much, John. So now I am extremely honored to introduce Ms. Masako Wada. Thank you. Ms. Wada is the Assistant Secretary General of Nihon Hidankyo, the Japanese Confederation of Atomic and Hydrogen Bomb Sufferers Organization. She is a Hibakusha, an atomic bombing survivor from Nagasaki. She has been actively working for nuclear abolition with various anti-nuclear weapons civil society groups and sharing her personal testimonials. She gave her statement at numerous occasions, both high-level meetings and grassroots activities, including United Nations conferences and the Vatican Conference on Nuclear Disarmament in November 2017. So, Ms. Wada, the microphone is yours.
皆様、こんにちは。日本被団協の和田雅子でございます。このような形で皆様にお会いすること、機会を与えられましたこと、本当に光栄に思い、嬉しく感じております。本日は、被爆の体験とその後のことについてお話をさせていただきたいと思います。私は1943年生まれですので、1歳10ヶ月の時に、長崎の北部の爆心地から2.9 キロの市街地にある自宅で被爆いたしました。何の記憶もありません。山に囲まれた長崎の地形のおかげで生き延びることができました。折々に母が繰り返す話を聞いて育ちました。爆心地から南側も火災のために爆心地近くの人々は山越えをして市街地に降りてきました。茶色の山肌に母が見たものは、アリの行列のような人の動き、血で固まり角のようになった髪の毛、男か女かもわからない。衣類もほとんどつけていない。黒くうごめきながら山道を降りてくる人の列に身震いしたと言います。その山道で多くの方が亡くなったと思われます。自宅の隣は建物疎開で空き地になっておりました。道に放置されている遺体は箱型のゴミ車に放り投げられ、そこで山積みにされて朝から晩まで焼かれました。その匂いにも、そしてその数にも何も感じなくなっていった。人間としての感覚がなくなっていったと言います。家の裏には井戸がありましたので、そこには大勢の怪我をした人が水を求めてやってきました。私を背中におぶい、その人たちの傷を洗い、古い布を熱湯で消毒して備えていたもので、包帯の代わりとして使ったと言います。その後、その方たちがどうなったかは知る由もありません。大学の講堂に開かれていた救護所に町内から医師の手伝いに行かされました。床一面に横たわっている人たちの怪我ややけどのあまりのひどさに母は気絶してしまいました。気がついて次に与えられた仕事は、親指ぐらいの大きさに成長した大量のウジ虫をほうきで吐き取ることでした。その時母は24歳です。アメリカ軍は原爆と同時に落下傘につけたラジオセンサーも投下しました。原爆の威力、爆風、熱度など司令部に報告するための機械でした。原子雲の中で下で何が起こったか。戦闘員でない多くの老人、女性、子供たちが亡くなった。広島、長崎で45年の12月までに21万人。それぞれの家族、一人一人の生活、命の大切さ、人間の尊厳をそのセンサーは伝えなかったのかと母は毎年8月9日によみがえるあの匂いとともに話をしておりました。第二次世界大戦は人命と国土に莫大な犠牲と破壊を残しました。 その深い反省と後悔の上に、終戦直後の1945年10月の24日に国際連合が設立しました。その国連憲章の第一章の目的は、国際の平和及び安全を維持するために、我らの力を合わせ、共同の利益の場合を除く、他は武力を用いないことを原則の受諾と方法の設定によって確保し、と記されています。世界はこの目的のために何をしてきたのでしょうか。1946年の第1回国連総会の第1号決議が、核軍縮の国連の最優先目標であると確認し、原子力によって提起された問題に対処するための委員会が設立されました。それにもかかわらず、核兵器の数は増加の一途をたどり、東西冷戦期には 7万発にも及びました。核戦争の危機感の中で1970年に発行された NPT は今年で51年となります。核軍縮のためのこの条約の6条には、誠実に交渉を行うことが義務付けられています。アメリカ軍による原爆投下から76年が経ち、被爆者は平均年齢が84歳となりました。毎年約9000人の被爆者が亡くなっています。私たち被爆者は誠実に核兵器廃絶の運動を続け、一日も休むことなく歩んできました。被爆後、日本政府からもアメリカ政府からも10年間捨て置かれ、医学的にも経済的にも何の援助も受けることなく生活してきました。徹底したアメリカの報道管制によって、その被害はすべて隠蔽されてしまいました。最も助けが必要な時期に被爆者は捨て置かれたのです。マンハッタン計画の責任者であったファーレル准将の死ぬべき者は死んでしまった。放射能で苦しむ者は皆無である。と述べた1945年9月の記者会見で、被爆者は、そして敗戦国であった日本の国民は沈黙を余儀なくされたのです。1954年のビキニ事件を契機に、被爆から11年目の1956年、それまで隠れて苦しみながら生活していた被爆者はやっと結束して表に出て声を上げ、日本原水爆被害者団体協議会を結成しました。私たちは自らを救うとともに私たちの体験を通して人類の危機を救おうと決意。誓い合いました。立ち上がり、今日まで歩んできました。国内外で核兵器のない世界を願う多くの方々に支えられながら活動を続けてきました。自分たちの体験を語り、そして語ることによってあの時に引き戻される苦しみ、悲しみを担いながら伝えなければとの思い、使命感が被爆者を支えてきました。1917年7月7日、国連で核兵器禁止条約が採択されたとき、多くの被爆者は生きていてよかったと心から喜びを分かち合いました。運動のために生涯を捧げられた多くの先達と、分けてもあの日、あの年に亡くなった21万の方々に思いを馳せ、喜び合いました。長年叩き続けてきた重い鉄の扉がやっと少し開いて、一筋の光が見えたと感じました。そして今年の1月22日、私たちの長年の願いであり、訴えであった核兵器禁止条約が国際法として発効しました。大きな喜びであると同時に新たな歩みの開始と認識します。 今、世界には何が求められているのでしょうか。核兵器の使用の危機が迫っています。終末時計は過去最短の100秒を示しています。すべての人が、人類が等しくその危機にあることを認識しなければなりません。広島、長崎に76年前に起こったことが、それが恋であれ、事故であれ、3度起これば、その結末は人類の滅亡に結びつきます。76年前、原爆の数はニューメキシコ州のアラモゴードの核実験に成功した1発と、広島、長崎に投下された2発、そして日本が降伏しなければスカウトされていた1発だけでした。しかし現在、13000発を超え、その威力は過去のそれとは比べ物になりません。様々な形での即死、そして熱戦、爆風、放射能による死、それは長く、ゆっくりと爆心地から同心円状に広がる。この緩慢な死は76年経った今もなお続いていることです。広島、長崎で起こったことが、いや、それ以上の想像することもできない破壊が地球規模で起こる可能性があることを私たちは認識しなければなりません。コロナウイルス感染は国境を越えて拡大しています。目に見えないウイルスを恐れ、世界は苦悩し戦っています。ワクチンの製造のため、治療のため多くの人が最大限の働きをしています。核兵器の被害は国境を越えて広がる。どの国も機関もその治療の術を持たない。と核兵器の人道上の影響に関する国際会議での結論です。被爆者が経験したこと、死、病気、貧困、差別など、今またコロナ禍の中で世界で起こっていることです。コロナウイルスは数年後には様々なワクチンができ、一応の収束はするでしょう。しかし、核兵器が使用されたら、人がいなくなった地球が残るだけです。そこには自国の国力、名誉、地位を誇る人はいません。それらの遺体を処理する人もいません。被爆者は単なる生き残りではありません。人類の危機を救うと決意して行動してきた者たちです。その使命を託された者たちです。コロナウイルスとは共生できても核兵器と人類は共生できない。人類が作ったものを人類の手で公共の利益、公共の良きことのために排出する。そのため、被爆者は一人一人に残された限られた時を皆様と共に歩み続けます。今日参加された若い皆様が核兵器に向けて地球市民として学び、考え、語り、行動されることを心から願っております。力をお貸しください。ご一緒に頑張りましょう。お聞きいただいてありがとうございました。
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada, for sharing such an important and it's a heart-wrenching story, but we all need to hear from atomic bombing survivors so that we can learn. Thank you so much. So now I would like to ask students to ask some questions. We have a little bit of time for Q&A session for Ms. Wada. So if you have any questions, please type your question in the chat box. Or if you would like to speak up, just raise your hand. You know, you will find a raise hand function in a Zoom, raise hand in Zoom. Or you can just type that I want to ask a question so that I will call your name. Okay, so who wants to ask a question? If a student is a little bit shy, teachers can also ask. This is a great opportunity for you to ask questions to atomic bombing survivors, Ms. Wada. So don't be shy. And if you see any raise hand, Michael and Mia, please let me know. I'm trying to monitor. Okay, Karen, what health effects? Okay, so I have one question from CIF teacher. What health effects have you personally experienced due to the radiation left from the atomic bomb?
はい。よろしいですか？はい。
はい。
先ほど申しましたように、私は、2.9 キロのところで被爆しました。家の中におりましたのでね、具体的な、健康被害というものは、外傷だとか、そういうやけどとかですね、そういうものはなかったです。だけど、その時には分からなかったことですけど、やっぱりずっと体が弱かったですね。病身でした。だから、6年生の時にはほとんど学校に1年間休んで、中学高校に行くまでずっと体操は1回もやったことがないというような、今頃になって少し元気にはなっておりますけれども、もともと虚弱なものであって、肺に水が溜まるような病気にずっとなっておりました。はい。
Thank you so much, Wada-san, for sharing such a difficult thing, but it's so important to learn. Thank you. So I have a question from a student.
それからごめんなさい、母はですね、いくつものがんになって、そして28回の入退院を繰り返して亡くなりました。はい。
Thank you so much for sharing your mother's experience as well. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so I'm Kanon Koizumi. She's a student from Tokyo, I believe. So please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hello, thank you so much for your wonderful story and your message towards us young people. That really hit my heart. So the question itself I'm going to ask in Japanese. あなたにとって平和ってやっぱりどういうものなのかなっていうのは、平和の定義、かなり曖昧な質問なのかなとは思うんですけれど、ぜひ伺ってみたいなと思いました。Thank you very much again.
平和の定義。言われているように平和っていうのは単に戦争がないことだけではないということですもんね。だからもう本当にみんなが安心して暮らせる、もう月並みな言葉ですけれどもね、それが本当に人が人として尊重される人間の生命というもの、人間の尊厳というものが大切にして生きることができる、生活することができる状態だということがありますね。だから本当にパブリックグッドっていうですね、フランシス教皇もそういうふうにおっしゃってますけれども、本当に公共の良きことのためにという教育が行き届き、それから食べ物が行き渡り、安心して環境が整いというようなそういう生活ができること、それが平和の条件だというふうに思っております。
Great. That was thank you. The really great question. Okay, so then actually I'm getting a lot of questions right now. So the next question, Veronica Chinchilla, you want to ask a question?
Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ms. Wada, so much for speaking with us today. So you mentioned that the TPNW is an incredibly important next step towards denuclearization. What are some thoughts that you might have on bringing nuclear powers to sign? Thank you.
はい、核兵器廃絶、核兵器禁止条約っていうのは NPT を補完するものとして作られたもの。そういうふうに認識しております。だから先ほども申し上げましたように NPT の中には核軍縮を誠実に行うというね、文言があります。それを50年間核保有国は無視してきたわけですね。 誠実にやれなかった。数は少なくなりましたけれども、小型化したり、性能が良くなったり、どんどんとその力が強いものを作っている。どんどんと開発してきて、だから誠実にその核軍縮に努めたということはないというふうに思います。だから本当に今度の NPT のレビューカンファレンスがありますけど、その中では本当に NPT の成功というのを思っておりますし、それから進めて、核保有国が批准をすること、もちろん日本に対してもそうですけれども、それを願っております。よろしいでしょうか。はい。
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada. So I have actually two more questions. So Jack Trapanic, would you like to speak up? If you would like to, please unmute and ask question. Jack? There must be more than one Jack. So Jack Trapanic.
Yeah, that's me. So I was wondering, what has it been like for you to watch other nuclear disasters unfold across the last few decades, such as Chernobyl and Fukushima?
チェルノブイリも福島もですね、福島はあれですね、津波による被害、地震による被害ということだったですけど、本当に私たちはチェルノブイリの時からもう原発はいらないということをずっと言ってきましたけれども、日本政府はそういうことに耳を重なる。どんどん原発が増えていってしまったということです。今、停止しているものもありますけど、また再稼働を進めているものもあります。これまでにも本当に大きな歴史に、先ほどのね、お話で歴史に学ばないということでしたけど、本当のいろんなあったことに、過去のことをまた繰り返すのかというような思いがあります。10年が経ちました。福島の事故からですね。だけど、あれは本当に人災であったということをね、深く思います。いろんなことがもうちゃんとした処理がなされなかったということに本当に腹立たしい思いがします。一人一人の生活を思うと本当にも気の毒で、悲しい、腹立たしいことばっかりだというふうに思います。あってはならないことが起こったという思いでいっぱいでございます。
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada. Yeah, yesterday was the 10th anniversary of the Fukushima. So we've been thinking a lot of nuclear issues. So thank you. So I have one more question. Kai Hatton, would you like to speak up? Kai Hatton, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, I would like to. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I never thought I'd be able to speak to a survivor. This is really awesome. I wanted to ask, what was it like after the bomb? What was life like after the explosion, or like post-explosion? Like, was there like a struggle, or what kind of experiences did you have afterwards?
はい。先ほど申しましたように、私は1歳10ヶ月ですのでね、本当に赤ちゃんだったわけですね。だから、いろんな記憶というものはないんです。だけど少し、母たちが話をしていることは、本当に食料も大変でしたし、食べ物なかったんですね。戦時中もなかったですけど、戦争が終わってからも大変な食料の不足というものがずっと続いておりました。そして、うちの母なんかも、ずっと、買い出しと言ってですね、田舎まで出かけて行って、そしていろんな着物だとか、それと交換して食べ物を分けてもらうとか、で自分のうちの小さな庭にいろんな食べ物を、トマトだとかそういうものを植えるとか、そういうことはもう本当にみんながやっていたことですね。貧しかったということがあります。からもう、長崎はもうどこを見てもその被爆者だらけですのでね、そういう、私たちがまだ幼稚園の頃、小学校の頃までには本当に火傷をした人とか、怪我を負った人、それからそういう人たちの姿はしょっちゅう見ることができました。本当に何かな、そういう人たちに対する思いというかね、まだ小さくてよくわからなかったところもありますけれども、そういう人たちだらけですのでね、差別というようなことはなかった、自分の中にはなかったですけれどもね、今思うとやっぱりそういう方たちの うちの家族では亡くなった者はいないんですけれどもね、遠い親戚にはありますけれども、だけどそういうその心の重荷を負って生活をしながらいた人から、うちの父の友人で原爆で家族を亡くした方が、全て亡くした方があります。で、父がその方を連れてきて、もうその方は軍隊に入ってかなり地位の高い方でしたけれども、一緒に住まいました。小さい時にですね、そういう、もうだからそういう生活をみんなその分けしながら暮らしたということに思っております。だからその方は一人捨て置かれたら、もう自分で自害されたという恐れがあった方だったですね。
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada, for sharing such a painful thing. But it's related to that question. I have one more. This is the last question to Ms. Wada because I would like to have more. But so Ren Takayama from Kansai Soka, would you like to ask a question, or can I just read it? Do you want to speak up?
Okay. Thank you. I am impressed by your story. Okay, I have one question. Have you what kind of discrimination have Hibakusha suffered after World War II? Please tell me.
はい、差別は本当にいろんなもの、うちの家族が差別を受けることはありませんでしたけれども、聞く差別によると本当に就職の時、結婚の時ですね、もうそういう差別はもう被爆者だからということだけで、もうそれは大きな差別でした。そしてこれはうちの息子ですけども、40代の息子がおります。その息子の友達です。少し息子よりも若い友達なんですけど、ほんの2年ぐらい前の話です。いまだにですね、その方が結婚するということで、長崎の方だったんですね。そして挨拶に行ったら、原爆の血が流れてると言って、それを破談になったということなんですね。いまだにそういうことがあるということですね。今、福島のことだとか、そういうことでも、いろんな差別が放射能が移るとか、そういうことは言われましたけど、全くそういう、差別がね、その時はもっともっとあったということですね。だから、外傷はなくてもですね、内部被爆というものが本当に、その時にはまだ内部被爆というような言葉は分かりませんでしたけれどもね。だから外に、怪我だとか、それから火傷がある人は、ましてやたくさんの差別を受けて、そして長崎に、広島に住めなくなって、そして外に出ていった、県外に出ていって、そして出身地を言うんじゃないというふうにして、ずっと隠し通したということ。本当にそれはもう多くの人が感じていることです。実際にあったことです。被爆者からもらったものは食べない、触らないというようなことをね、どこでもあったということです。
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada, for your experience. And also, as you said, atomic bombing survivor is not just a survivor, but they have a very important mission to fight against nuclear weapons. That's really touched my heart. And I'm sure that everybody who listened to your experience today was able to strengthen our determination to work for nuclear disarmament. So although it's difficult, but it's very important to listen to atomic bombing survivors' experience and learn from Hibakusha. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. Thank you. So now I would like to move to the next part of the event. So thank you so much. Thank you. So we learned the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of the use of nuclear weapons from Ms. Wada. The next two speakers will bring the past wartime memory to the present. So Dr. Hidenori Watanabe, professor at the University of Tokyo, and Ms. Anju Niwata, a student at the University of Tokyo, co-authored a best-selling book, Rebooting Memories of Pre-War and War Through Colorized Photographs in collaboration with artificial intelligence and human. So this book and Rebooting Memories project have received many awards. Professor Watanabe also produced digital archives such as Hiroshima Archive and Nagasaki Archive. And Ms. Niwata has been working with Professor Watanabe since she was a high school student in Hiroshima. She also participated in the Critical Issues Forum in 2018 in Montreal. So you will hear from them about the amazingly exciting project. So without further ado, I will give microphone to Professor Watanabe. So take it away.
Thank you very much. So can you hear me? Hello,
Yes.
everyone. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us to this wonderful conference. My name is Hidenori Watanabe, and I'm a professor at the University of Tokyo. I'm grateful to Ms. Wada for her inspiring speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm also very happy that I found my friend's name in the participants list of this conference room. Thank you very much for coming. Today, we'd like to talk about the Rebooting Memories project. It is a collaboration between artificial intelligence and humans. The second half of the talk will be given by Ms. Anju Niwata, a first-year student at the University of Tokyo. You know, she is also an alumna of CIF. We've been collaborating for 4 years long. This is the content of today's lecture. First, I will talk about the theory of Rebooting Memories project. Next, Anju will continue the talk about her activity in Hiroshima. Okay. This photo was shot in Japan more than 100 years ago. Magic, so let's colorize it. The colors of the people and the scenery emphasize the difference between the still background and the moving people. Do you know this girl? Raise your hands. Yes, so she is Anne Frank in 1941. You are all aware of her sad fate. Let's colorize it. Suddenly, don't you feel close to her as if she were a friend of your own generation? This Hiroshima atomic bomb cloud was shot from Kure, a neighbor of Hiroshima, in 76 years ago. Let's colorize it. It becomes easier to feel that the past every day was not different from the present. This photo was taken in Tokyo 100 years ago. Students wear masks because of the Spanish flu pandemic. Let's colorize it. Isn't this similar to our situation today in all over the world? This is the strategy of Rebooting Memories project. Stocked black and white photographs can be a trigger of flow by colorization and sharing, and lively communication emerges from the flow, increases the value of information. Therefore, the activity passes precious materials and memories of past events into the future. famous writer Kevin Kelly said, modern society discovered the value of flow creation through appropriate information design and sparking communication, in addition to the stocked data itself. This is an example of flow. It's my Twitter timeline. We don't search anymore. We take in information that flows into the timeline. However, many photos are still stored in digital archives. We cannot access these photos without searching. Is it possible to create a flow by sharing black and white photographs on Twitter? Let's observe this flow again. Current color photos posted on social media timelines provide simultaneity. On the other hand, frozen impression of black and white photos will auto-freeze the timeline in the user's awareness. Colorizing black and white photos can prevent this freezing, reboot the impression of the events shown in the photo. Based on this awareness of the issue, we began colorizing black and white photos in December 2016 using the technology developed by Iizuka and Shimosera that gives color to black and white photos through artificial intelligence technology. This is a result of automatic colorization. The input image size is reduced, and the artifacts in the photographs are colorized unnaturally. So for example, boys' foot or girls' wear looks like unnaturally. So we restored the resolution using Photoshop. And we also retouched the photos based on the historical materials, bringing the colors closer to a more natural impression. This is an example of a flow created from the colorized photograph. There was a massive response from users, with the photo being retweeted or liked over 1,000 times and receiving many replies, showing that lively communication has emerged in the flow on Twitter with the colorized photos as the starting point. Let's review the rebooting memories strategy here. By colorizing black and white photos and posting them on social networking sites, a flow is created. A large number of people will participate in this flow. It increases the interest of the society about the original photo and also the past event. Okay. I have one question here. What day is today? It is now the morning of March 13 in Japan time. This is a photo taken 76 years ago today. So 76 years ago today, on March 13, 1945, Osaka air raid. Over 3,000 people died. I tweeted this picture in this morning, same day. Like this, I'm tweeting colorized photos under the subject, photo of the day. By tweeting colorized photos from that day, the reality of past events is enhanced. From November 2016, I have tweeted over 1,000 colorized photos. Let me tell a short story of this photo. I found this photo in 2016 at Wilmington College, Ohio, in the United States. All I knew was that it was taken in Hiroshima 1 year after the atomic bombing. I tweeted this colorized photo as a photo of 72 years ago today, on August 6, in 3 years ago, 2018, the day of the Hiroshima atomic bombing. This tweet has the highest response ever. Many information was received from users, including a journalist and a TV station. From the flow of the colorized photo, these facts were revealed. First, Kyoto News Service took the photo before August 5th, 1946. This couple may be guests of a dance hall that had already opened, surprisingly, in the department store. The new building seen above, the head of the couple is a ryokan, traditional Japanese hotel, which exists today as a restaurant after having been remodeled. So, based on the information, we were able to visit the place where the photo was taken. So you can find Andrew and me. This is Andrew's hand. The colorized photo and the present cityscape of Hiroshima are superimposed. It's like a time machine experience. And we also could visit this Japanese inn. Now it is a restaurant. We enjoyed dinner and conversation with the owner. The owner was very happy and told us an old story about this restaurant, former hotel. In this example, a flow in Twitter has created communication in real space. I have described the story of this photo through 2019, 2 years ago. The rest of the story will be explained in Andrew's presentation to be continued. Okay. This is a picture of Tokyo on present day. We are currently under the influence of COVID-19 all over the world. We can see crowds wearing masks. And we went through a similar situation 100 years ago. The students in this picture are wearing masks just like we do today. Have we made progress in 100 years? And also, please think about it. This photo, Ms. Wada was under this mushroom cloud 76 years ago. What can we learn from this photo taken in 76 years ago? And what can we do in the future? Please think about. Okay. Let's review what we discussed again. This is the strategy of rebooting memories in social media. Stocked black and white photographs can be the trigger of the flow by colorization and sharing, and lively communication emerges from the flow, increases the value of information. Therefore, the activity passes precious materials and memories of past events into the future. I have mainly talked about our project on the internet. Next is the story of Anju's activities in real spaces. This story begins 4 years ago when she was a high school student like you. Okay, take a look at 5 minutes video. Toki-sensei, please.
Okay, I'm going to share the video.
Thank you for watching the movie. I'm Anju Niwata from the College of Arts and Science in the University of Tokyo. I participated in the CIF conference in 2017 and learned about nuclear disarmament with the same generation from America, Russia, and Japan. We discussed Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, achievements, aspirations, and challenges ahead. I realized that the methods are different, but the achievement goal realization of the nuclear-free world is common understanding beyond nations. The message I got from the CIF conference led to my activity. The CIF inspired me, so I'm honored to join this forum again and given the opportunity to make my presentation today. I participated with Mr. Jerry O'Sullivan and Ms. Ikeda from my high school. Jerry Sensei participated in today's forum, and he has supported me. Our activity. I'm very appreciated and I'm happy to see him again today. So, firstly, please let me introduce the movie. I made it cooperating with Mr. Yamaura Tetsuya, who once belonged to Mr. Watanabe's laboratory. And this movie won the Student Award at the United for Peace Film Festival. And then we were invited to the United Nations in New York and gave us the opportunity to screen the movie at Plural Press in 2018. This has been released on YouTube and replayed more than 53,000 times. I'm honored that this movie is gradually spreading the thoughts and memories of the war survivors with sympathy, with empathy to the whole world. So let me begin with my research question. I was born and brought up in Hiroshima. As you know, Hiroshima is the first city to experience the atomic bombing, but was reconstructed. More than 75 years have passed since the war ended. The war survivors are aging year by year, and we are the last generation to learn from them directly. So it will be crucial for people, even those who have never held any relationship with war or peace, to imagine it is something belonging to one's own experience. Through collecting signatures in Hiroshima when I was a high school student, I found that most of the young people, even those in Hiroshima, may have no interest or tend to avoid thinking about the serious topics, war, peace, atomic bombing. Then how can we, people who have never experienced a war, pass on the thoughts and memories of the war survivors into the future? As one of the examples, I'm going to tell you about my activity, Rebooting Memories. The process is at first colorizing the pre-war photos by AI and the past documented records. Next, conversing with war survivors, seeing colorized photos. And last, recoloring based on revived color of the memory. I've repeated this process again and again. In 2017, in the summer, at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park, I met Mr. Hamai Tokusao. This picture shows himself and his older brother in front of the building named the A-Bomb Dome today. Mr. Hamai once lived in the Nakajima district, which existed under the ground of the present Peace Park. There were many stores, theaters, restaurants, and so on. About 4,400 people lived normal everyday lives as we do today. His father ran a barber shop, and we can see his family in the anime movie In This Corner of the World. Although he could survive because of evacuation, all his family members died in the atomic bombing. He has about 250 black and white photos of his pre-war lives in his family album. This is Mr. Hamai's original photo. 1 week after the meeting with him, I learned colorization using AI technology from Professor Hidenori Watanabe. So I came up with putting the technology of colorization to good use with Mr. Hamai's photos because I'd like to give him an album as a present, which will always help him feel closer to his lost family. Seeing the colorized photos, Mr. Hamai seemed to be very happy and said, "It's really beautiful, just like yesterday. My family seemed to be alive. We held the cherry blossoms viewing with my neighbors, so the color of the flowers is pink. We often used to play Japanese cedar cannons. So he recalled his new memory in succession. So I recolored the photo based on his color of the memory. I've repeated dialogue with war survivors based on the colored photos and recolored them again and again. I have promoted Rebooting Memories activity cooperating with former citizens of Nakajima District and other war survivors in the different regions. So please look at this photo. What kind of flowers do you think? Obtain the consent to colorization from Mr. Takahashi Hisashi, the owner of this photo. I took a wireless scan of the actual photographs. Mr. Takahashi had dementia, so it was unclear whether he would recognize himself, even those in colorized photo. Seeing this photo, I thought these flowers were surely white clovers because the shape of flowers and leaves were just like the ones in an illustrated book of flora and other materials. Then I turned the whole yellow tone down and got close to the white clover. However, I visited Mr. Takahashi and talked with him and his daughter, seeing the colorist photos. He suddenly said they were dandelions. So he began to talk and precious memories with his family, whom he had lost in the bombing. So I recolored based on his color of the memory. This is before talking with Mr. Takahashi and after. So thanks to like-minded people who share the same wishes toward the inheritance of the thoughts and memories of war survivors in the future, I could put my thoughts into shape. Firstly, the exhibitions. We held 2 exhibitions in my high school, including the cultural festival, and thanks to supporters from Hiroshima TV and Professor Watanabe's laboratory, I could finally realize the large-scale exhibition based on my plan. During the exhibit, we held a workshop and round-table discussion. The former citizens of the Nakajima district came to see our exhibition and tell me the new revived memories, seeing the colorized photos. In addition, I put the round table in the center of the hall, and they reminisced pre-war peaceful lives and talked together. Next, the international conferences. Adding to participating in the UFPFF and being screened in New York, I was given the opportunity to make presentation at the UN in New York and with Professor Watanabe at the UNESCO in Paris and the SIGGRAPH Asia in Australia, and that is a CZ conference. I obtained many empathies from participants from around the world. I realized the importance of not only the new technological development, but also maximizing the technology and contributing to our society. I also found the meaning of making presentation towards the professionals in various fields at the international conferences, in addition to civil society. In 2019, I released a Rebooting Memories AR app in cooperation with Professor Watanabe. Opening the application, you can overlay the maps of present Peace Park and the Nakajima district. Touching here, seeing the colorless photos and realize what they are used to be there. When you visit Hiroshima and tap this icon, you can use the AR view mode. So it will lead us to connect the present with the past. You can use it for free, so please download and try it. Next, in June last year, I co-authored the colorless photo collection with Professor Watanabe, including the 355 photos. It conveys the memories of pre-war Hiroshima, Okinawa, and other regions in the world. I've received many precious messages. This will be the evidence to raise people's awareness toward the war or peace, and many people can talk about it spontaneously. Please look at this picture, taken from the roof of Fukuya Department Store on Hachibori Street in Hiroshima. Fukuya Department still remains and many people go shopping. According to Professor Watanabe, he colored it and corrected the tone of the whole photo bright because he felt this photo was a symbol of the reconstruction of Hiroshima City after the bombing and presented as a hope for a bright future. However, soon after the book was published, Kawabe Kiyoshi, who is now 91 years old, came forward to say that the man is him and the woman is Yuriko Katayama, whom he later married. To our surprise, some photos in the book are related to the woman. The left is a woman's family, and the right shows a woman and her brothers. I went to visit Mr. Kawabe to interview him and get closer to his color of the memory. He said that I was very surprised when I opened the book and found this picture. The ruins of the atomic bombing were likely smoking and more darker than this. So I remember the color of, and he remembers the color of their clothes. Based on his dialogue, I got closer to his color of the memory. Unfortunately, he also noted that the couple was not looking at with hope, but staring at their homes and grieving over friends' death they had lost by the bombing. However, he found his happiness to spend his time with Yuriko, overcoming the painful time the couple married and have lived happily. Unfortunately, Yuriko had passed away last year in spring. Although she couldn't see this colorless photo, Mr. Kawabe told that she would surely cry for joy seeing the colorless photos. Through this episode, I realized that colorless photos can connect us to the unexpected dialogue with war survivors by spreading in our society as a photo collection. Finally, I will tell you about the importance of the real space. Since last summer, this building, called the Rest House, has been renewed, and on the third floor, you can learn about the Nakajima district by seeing the colorless photos. You can see the colorless photos at the booth Keeping the Legacy of Hiroshima Alive in the Future. This man visited the Rest House because he read the newspaper introducing the exhibition of this booth and the colorized photo collection. He brought the article there, and I could talk with him about this exhibition. Under today's pandemic or some difficult situation, it's not easy to actually visit and experience these unexpected meetings with people. I've worked on the online exhibition because people may have been interested in and gotten an opportunity for peace education under this pandemic. Virtual space will improve well, but paradoxically, I think the meaning of a real space may be very important. For instance, if you can visit a peace park and walk around using AR mode, you will truly realize with your 5 senses that the peace park plays a role in space for peace education. So in conclusion, I'd like to ask you the question again. How can people who have never experienced the war can pass on the thoughts and memories of war survivors into the future? The rebooting memory activity is one of the new sustainable ways making use of art and technology to continue memorizing the war survivors' thoughts and memories in each people's minds as an universal message so that people should never again have the same suffering. Through my experiences, I realized that the space of peace education leads to inherit the thoughts and memories of war survivors with empathy into the future. I think the space of peace education means the place where it is widely open, not only in the classroom, but also in the various spaces. As my life work, I will continue researching these various spaces of peace education and their effectiveness so that people who have never held any relationship with war or peace can imagine the peaceful lives suddenly lost by the war or atomic bombing through individual stories with empathy and 5 senses as something belonging to one's own experience. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Watanabe Sensei, that's really amazing presentation. And Andrew also emphasized the importance of empathy to convey the suffering and the thoughts of atomic bombing, not just atomic bombing survivors, but people who experienced the war. So I really appreciate all of your project, this rebooting memories. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. So now I would like to open the floor for the question. We have a little bit of time. So again, if you would like to ask questions, please type your question and I will call your name. Who wants to start? Yeah, and in the meantime, Watanabe Sensei put Andrew and Watanabe Sensei's Twitter account. So please follow them and you will learn a lot. And also the book, I think at this point, this is available only in Japanese, but hopefully, do you think it is going to be translated into English? Watanabe Sensei, do you know if there's any such a plan, English version of this book?
私たちは今、英語版を作る計画は立てています。
Great. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so someone raised a hand. Could you type your question or just comment on the chat box? Okay, so Raina, great. You want to speak up or Raina, would you unmute yourself and ask a question?
Hey, Masako.
Hey.
My question is what tips would you give to someone who is interested in learning how to colorize black and white photos?
では、僕の方から答えます。今、チャットに、ハイパーリンクを一つペーストしました。でちょっと、スクリーンシェアリングしますが、 これは一つの例です。様々な、オープンになっている AI がウェブ上にたくさん用意されています。で、ここで、イメージを選び、画像をアップロードすると、自動的に色がつきます。ただ、この状態と私のプロフィールの、プロフィールとか今喋っている背景の画像を比べてもらうと、色が全然違うことがわかりますよね。なので、AI は、あまり正確な色をつけることはできないんです。なので、アンジュが先ほどプレゼンテーションしたように、戦争体験者と会話をして、記憶の色を明らかにしていくとか、あるいは僕もアンジュも、戦争中戦前の資料をたくさん集めて、それをもとに正しい色をつけるという努力もしています。なので、記憶の解凍、リブーティングメモリーズは、人とAI がコラボレーションをするプロジェクトだっていうことを分かってもらえればと思います。アンジュ、もし何かあればコメントをしてください。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. So, I'd like to try colorizing using AI technology by free and ask the war survivors or your relatives who have experienced the wartime and ask the memories of wartime and pre-war lives and know the color of the memory having using the colorized tools and realize the connection with who have people who have experienced a war.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I also want to try this colorizing engine myself. So thank you so much. And yeah, right, thank you for your question. So I have a question from Jerry, your teacher. Jerry, you want to speak?
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Anju. Thank you very much. Watanabe sensei, arigatou gozaimashita. My name is Jerry O'Sullivan. I'm a teacher at the school that Anju graduated from. Although I think Anju taught me more than I could ever teach her. And she's teaching us as every day as we go on here. One question about memory culture. As I learn more about war and wartime and learning about Hiroshima, I know there was quite a controversy about memories of Hiroshima. Post-war, there was whether or not to keep the atomic bomb dome was quite a controversial subject, right? Do you keep it? Do you not keep it? Do we want to move on as a city? Do we want to keep these memories? I'm just wondering if you have met anybody in this process of rebooting memories that do not want to remember the wartime, do not want to remember these tough times that the country went through, and what if you've had any experiences like that. Thank you.
では、僕から先に、答えます。アンジュは、後で自分も話すと思うけれども、平和な時代の写真をカラー化することが多いです。で、僕は、例えば燃え上がっている街とか、戦場で戦闘機がマシンガンを撃っているシーンとか、そういうものをカラー化することが多いです。で、悲惨な白黒写真は、私たちは実は見た瞬間に過去のものだっていうふうにもう考えてしまって、それ以上見ようとしないんです。 でも、色がつくと、実は今世界中で起きている戦争であったり、災害であったりというものと、つながっているものだということを感じてもらえるようになるんですね。だから私の場合は、おそらくは、その悲惨な状況を体験した本人ではなくて、今生きている若い人たちが白黒写真だからもう自分には関係ないと思ってしまっている過去の悲しい出来事を身近に感じてもらうためにやっていると思います。戦争の体験者の方々、ツイッターを使っているのはおそらく戦争の体験者ではなくて、もっと若い人たちです。そういう人たちが過去の戦争について、今この時代に起きている戦争と重ねて考えてもらうっていうのが、僕自身がやっているストラテジーですね。では、アンジュの方に。
はい。I make the relationship of trust with war survivors and すいません、これ入っちゃって。Sorry. I make the relationship of trust with war survivors, and I ask the war survivors to I ask that war survivors would like to colorize their photos and talk about the pre-war lives, not just tragedy of war, and recalled the tragedy memory. And I'd like to the memories of I think it's important not only the tragedy of war, but also the peaceful lives of pre-war Hiroshima and Okinawa and other regions in the world, because the peaceful lives is common understanding beyond nations, and it generates the empathy all around the world. So, for example, the peaceful lives existed in America and Russia and other regions in the world. So, I'd like to making use of art and technology is led to the empathy of the memory of the war survivors and as an universal message.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew and Watanabe Sensei. So I want to take one more question because we are a little bit behind the schedule. I know everybody want to ask more questions, but we have to end at some point. So Mr. Saotome, would you like to ask question?
はい。聞こえますか？
はい、聞こえます。Yes, we can hear.
じゃあ日本語でいきましょうかね。今は白黒写真を、カラーライジングの対象にされているということなんですが、50年後とか、100年後でもいいんですけれども、の研究者であったり学生たちが、こういった渡辺先生たちの、なんていうんでしょう、この、研究っていうのを引き継いでいくような方々、もしいらっしゃった場合に、このカラーの写真っていうのが歴史資料としてなっていくっていうような時代、将来の、時代にどういった哲学とか考え方とか、テクニックっていうものをそういった将来の研究者、学生たちに引き継いでいけるのかということを 何か今お考えのことがあれば教えていただければと思います。
はい。じゃあ、インタープリターの方のためにゆっくり話します。普通のハイスピードで話すと大変だと思うので。僕らがその白黒写真に注目したのは、今を生きてる僕たちが、普段こういうもので、撮るものはほぼ全てカラーだっていうことと、対照的に捉えられるっていうことに気づいたからですよね。で、50年後にどんな記録をするデバイスがあるのかっていうことは、予測はつかないんですけれど、一つの鍵になるのは、写真にはその前後の時間が含まれているっていうことだと思います。僕らが普段スマートフォンで写真を撮るときは、写真をこのカメラロールで見るときに、その前後の出来事を含めて思い出しています。でも不思議と、特にモノクロの写真を見るときは、静止した状態としてなぜか我々は認識してるんですよね。だから、50年後も通用する、コンセプトとしては、写真は、実は長い時間の中の出来事の一瞬を切り取ったセクションに過ぎないっていうことをきちんと踏まえて、分析をするような、そういうスタンスを受け継いでいければ、今我々が撮っているこういうカラーの写真が、将来の学生たちにとって貴重な資料になり得ると思います。今実際この iPhone で写真を撮るとライブフォトといって、ショートムービーの中の一瞬として撮れるんですよね。記録するメディア自体がこの時間軸を含めて写真を撮影するっていう方向にどんどんシフトしているので、僕らのストラテジーは当たっているんじゃないかなと考えています。
Okay, thank you so much. So I believe that we have to close the meeting sometime soon, but I would really like to express my sincere appreciation to Watanabe Sensei, Andrew, and of course, Ms. Masako Wada for insightful and heartfelt and excellent presentations. And we learned a lot from you guys, from you. Thank you so much. And also, thank you so much for your participation to everybody and asking very good questions and amazing questions. And by visualizing and empathizing the suffering of the victims and the survivors of war, including atomic bombing survivors, using new technology, listening to Hibakusha, like we did today, I really hope that youth can better contribute to peace and security for the world free of nuclear weapons. And today we talked a lot about empathy. And this really reminded me one quote from the book titled Nagasaki. And you remember the book Nagasaki, authored by Ms. Susan Southard? Yeah, she was a keynote speaker of the 2018 CIF conference. The stories of those who were beneath the mushroom clouds can transform our generalized perceptions of nuclear war into visceral human experience. So as one of Hibakusha said, the basis of peace is to understanding the pains of others. So I really wanted to emphasize the importance of empathy when we work for nuclear disarmament and peace and security. And I really hope that disarmament and non-proliferation education for young generation, like a Critical Issues Forum, and also today's event like today and everything you are doing, like Watanabe Sensei, Andrew, and Wada-san talking to young generations. So I think will be the driving force for the peace and the security and for young people to work for the global peace and security. So I really wanted to thank you everybody, and especially the speakers. Thank you so much. So, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
あり
Thank
が
you,
とうございまし
everybody.
た。
ありがとうございました。
和田さん
ありがとう
も。
ございまし
ありが
た。
とうございました。
Thank you.
Thank you.